What's going on, everyone? It's DK with RPM Gaming, where we talk about retro, PC, and mobile gaming. And today, we're talking about the AYN Thor Rainbow Max version. So, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, and let's get started. This shows the black model on the front, but we actually got the rainbow colored Thor. This is running that Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 processor with that Adreno 740 GPU. We've got 16 gigabytes of the LPDDR5 RAM clocked at 4200 megahertz. And inside the box, we've got about a 3-foot USB-C to USB-C charging cable with the AYN logo on it, and our AYN Thor. On the bottom here, we've got our volume down, up, and power buttons, our 3.1 USB-C port, our 3.5mm audio jack, and our micro SD card slot. And this also has 4K video out at 60 frames per second. Connectivity is Wi-Fi 7 with Bluetooth 5.3. Up top here, we've got our L1 and R1 buttons, which are a micro switch connection, and our L2 and R2 triggers, which are Hall effect triggers. Around back here, we've got some active cooling going on. This also has a 6000 milliamp hour battery with a charging speed of 27 watts. Up top here, we've got a 6-inch AMOLED 1080 by 1920 120 Hz refresh rate display. And on the bottom, we've got a 3.9-inch AMOLED 1080 by 1240 with a 60 Hz refresh display. And this is the exact same screen that's on the Retroid Pocket Classic as well as the Retroid Pocket Mini V2. And this is coming in at 380 grams or just under a pound. And this feels pretty good in the hands. This is the exact same D-pad that's on the Retroid devices, like the Retroid Pocket Classic and the Retroid Pocket 5. Face buttons have a matte finish with a rubber membrane connection. The thumbsticks have a nice travel to them, as well as an RGB lighting ring around the edges. They have the L3 and R3 clicks as well. And these thumbsticks are Hall effect sticks. We've got our menu buttons up here that we can use for select and start, our home button, and our back button. And right here is an AYN button to bring up settings. I also grabbed the accessories pack when ordering this, which comes with a nice AYN hardshell carrying case, a TPU grip to match the Thor, and a TPU shell if you want to use that, along with this nice AYN lanyard, as well as an AYN travel bag. When compared to a couple of other clamshell devices, you can see that the Retroid Pocket Flip is just a little bit shorter than the AYN Thor. And then up against the new Nintendo 3DS XL, the AYN Thor is just a little bit shorter than the 3DS XL. I'd say that this has the best feel and texture of all three of them. And I think it also has the best hinge of all three of them. I'm sure we all remember the old 3DS XL hinge and how it clicks each time it locks. And it has 3 different positions on it, just like the AYN Thor does. While the Retroid Pocket Flip here only has 2 positions, and it's a lot tougher hinge to open up. Here, and then 180 degrees. But the hinge on the AYN Thor is really nice and really easy to open up, and it'll just snap into place at that top position. And then you've got one here, and then the full 180 degrees. And when we close it down, you can see right here on either side of the AYN button, there's 2 little rubber pads. That's what the screen is going to touch when you close it down. So it's not actually hitting on the joysticks and the face buttons. And you can see there's a gap right here as well. And when we put that TPU shell on the top and the TPU grip on the bottom, that's going to cushion that just a little bit right there. A few more similarities between the AYN Thor and the Retroid Pocket Flip. They both have the exact same thumbsticks, and they both have front firing speakers. We'll do a sound test a little bit later. Got the TPU shell in place on top here. Now we're going to slide that TPU grip on. And they really done a nice job with this color and matching exactly to the Thor. I think that looks really nice. And you can just set it in there and just slide it right in. And once in place, you can see it gives a little more cushion right there when you close the lid. So when you bring that down, it's got a little more to rest on than just a little bump on the front there. I really like the way that looks. I think that looks really nice, and it feels even better. Alright, we've got the Thor powered on. We've got our games and emulators installed now. We've got our red and blue RGB lighting around the thumbsticks because this is what I'm going to be playing my Switch games on going forward. We're running Android 13 for the operating system. There were several times when I almost picked up an Odin 2 or an Odin Portal, and I'm glad I didn't. This has the exact same chipset as the Odin 2 and Odin 2 Portal, except it's a dual screen, so it's better. Down here at the bottom with this AYN button, or AYN button, I'm not sure how you pronounce it. I think I'm just going to stick with the AYN. When you tap that, it's going to bring up a menu here on the bottom screen, and you've got 3 tabs here. The first tab is the mode tab, and in here you can control your screens. You can either just have the top screen showing like this, and if you want the bottom screen to come back, You just tap that button, and the same with the bottom screen if you just want it to show. You can also control the brightness down here too. You can control both screens simultaneously or a single screen individually. And the same with the volume. You can control the top screen and the bottom screen's volume individually. And then for the second tab here, it's the task tab. And when you tap that, it'll show you any apps you have open on the top screen here. And then for our third tab here, this is the settings tab. And in here you can see your frames per second. You can switch back and forth between that 120 frames per second mode and the 60 frames. When you have it on the 60 frames per second mode, it's going to lock this top screen to 60 frames to match the bottom screen. And then we've got our temperature down here in the bottom here in Celsius, and then the percentage that our fan speed is running. And on our fan settings up here, we've got quiet, smart, and sports mode. When we kick that onto sports mode, you can see the fan will jump up to about 50%, probably a little higher if it needs to. And then along the bottom here, we've got our CPU, GPU, power, and RAM. And then in this tab here, we've got an auto lock section, and that helps control your screens. Whichever screen you tap on, that's the screen that you're going to be controlling. So with this auto lock feature here, you tap on it and select your screen like the top screen. You can touch down here and still control things, but it's always going to revert back to the screen that you have locked. And then we've got our power profiles next to that: standard, medium, and high performance. And then the same with the fan, quiet, smart, and sports mode. Then we've got a clean memory tab over here, along with our controller style, standard style, Xbox, or ban on use. So I'm going to stick with the Xbox. And then we've got direct power supply. And what this does when you enable that, it allows you to run directly off wall power or a different power source, pretty much bypassing your battery. You can turn on and off vibration, as well as make changes to your LED joysticks. A little gameplay on the 3DS emulator Azahar. Here's RE Revelations, and it's running at a pretty stable and solid 30 frames per second at a 3x upscale. So anything that you had trouble running on like the RP5 with a dual screen setup, this thing right here is going to pretty much run it with ease. Going with the little Samurai Warriors here, and you can see on this dual screen gaming it functions just like a 3DS would. You can touch the bottom screen and use it for whatever you need to do, control your map or anything like that. And all these games on the 3DS so far are running at a 3x resolution. I'm not sure what the frames are running because for some reason it's not showing the overlay up here, but I haven't had any stutters or skips on it. It seems to be working pretty well. Here we go on CMU, playing this game where this boy controls the wind. I think you guys know what it is. And we're running at a pretty locked 30 frames per second. And they did an update on the CMU emulator, and it's working a lot better now with the dual screen setup. As far as touch and accuracy down here on the bottom screen and all of that, working pretty good. So I think you guys would have a great time playing this on the AYN Thor. Here we are on the Eden emulator playing a little Dragon Quest IX. Echoes of an Elusive Age. When you're playing games that aren't using the dual screen setup, you can hit that AYN button and bring up your menu here. And it's got a frame counter here, but you've also got one in the emulator. So I'm not sure which one is actually correct. I don't know if this one just caps out at 30. If you guys know, let me know in the comments. Or if it's bouncing around down here between 50 and 60. Either way, the gameplay seems pretty smooth to me. And playing Nintendo Switch games on a new device like this just brings them to life all over again for me. Let's do a little sound test with these front-facing speakers here. We'll put this up to max volume so you can hear just how loud it gets. That's pretty loud, and it sounds pretty good too. Another use for this dual screen setup when you're playing games that only require a single screen is you can watch a video down below or look at a guide or whatever. Maybe watch even your favorite YouTubers. That's not my favorite YouTuber, just kidding. Alright everyone, that's going to do it for today's video on the AYN Thor. Probably be doing a couple more videos on this because this and the Steam Deck are my top 2 favorite handhelds so far. Let me know what you guys think about it. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe, check out the other videos, and we'll see you next time on RPM Gaming.